Well, hi everyone, I'm Dr. Rollan Roberts, and I'd like to welcome you to today's empowerment session titled Go for No with guest Andrea Waltz. Andrea is the co-author of Go for No. Yes is the destination, no is how you get there. And along with her husband and business partner, Richard Fenton, she has made her mission to liberate people from fears of failure and rejection, sharing an entire new mindset about hearing the word no. And we all will be empowered by learning more how to handle what we perceive to be rejection. The philosophies that she teaches have been embraced by people in a wide variety of industries and businesses with rave reviews and amazing results. Her book hit #1 on Amazon's selling list and has remained in the top 20 sales books for over 3 years. So please join Ginga Baby's Vice President of Empowerment, Drea Bauer, as she and Andrea discuss how to go for no. Drea?
Thank you so much, Rollan. So Andrea, it is such a pleasure to speak with you today. I got so excited about your book because I know that in sales it's very typical that you have to go through so many no's before you get one yes. And a lot of people get discouraged because of that. It's politics, I think, is very similar to that as well. So what made you decide to write the book called Go for No?
Well, my husband and I, when we launched our business, speaking and training, we taught all types of concepts: customer service, sales, management, and Go for No was one little topic that we would cover, and it was the thing that resonated with everybody. In an 8-hour session, we would talk a little bit about Go for No, and they would say that was the thing that really made such an impact. So we said, okay, well, why don't we write this little book, Go for No, take a small topic, what appears to be a small topic, right, of hearing the word no more often, and blow it up. And so that's what we did. And back in 2007, we kind of recrafted our business and decided that we would make it our mission to help people live, I guess, the Go for No strategies, the Go for No mindset. And it is very counterintuitive because most people love the word yes, they want to succeed. We're teaching people to go out there and hear no more often. The irony, though, is when you avoid hearing no, when you avoid quote, failing, you actually avoid opportunities to hear more yeses. And so while it seems like a counterintuitive strategy, the results always get proved out because people become more successful when they go for no.
Do you find there's like a typical amount of no's that you should prepare yourself for, or do you keep going to no till you get a yes? How do you coach your clients and the people that attend your seminars to prepare for how many no's they might expect?
That's a great question, and everybody is so different. It really depends on kind of what you bring to the party. You know, some people, they hear this idea and they say, oh, I get it. Sales is a numbers game. I just need to go out there and I just need to hear more no's. I'm going to hear a lot of no's. I'll go out and I'll hear 10 or 20 no's in a given day or week. And then other people, from their backgrounds, their beliefs, maybe they were taught that failure is bad and getting no is, of course, considered a failure. So they shy away from that, and doing Go for No type behaviors is far more difficult. And so for someone like that, it may be, there may be a lot of fear around that as well. So that person may start out with 1 no a day, something small, something kind of bite-sized. But the idea is that when people can try it out, get a no here or there, what they find is that they survived, they didn't die, and actually when the yeses come, they realize, oh, I see, it's not so scary, it's not so difficult, I just need to get my mindset and maybe my ego and my fear of the word no out of the way, just get out there with telling the story of the product and focus on that and not focus on, you know, what's going on and whether I'm hearing a yes or no.
So do you find when they start to hear the no's and start to get more comfortable with them that it's just more of an acceptance thing, so it's not as personal when they get the no's in the future? Or how do they adjust, and does it get easier?
Absolutely, it gets easier. There's so many cool things that happen when you start doing the Go for No behaviors and you start adopting the Go for No mindset. So what I always say is what you can expect is more confidence, less stress, and more fun. Now, that all sounds great to me. That's why I love it. So what happens when you start going for no is you start making a game out of it. It's like you have some fun. You say, you know, I'm going to hear 3 no's today, as an example. And so you go out and you get those 3 no's, and you say, wow, that wasn't so bad. Now what happens, exactly as you just said, is you start accepting it. You start saying, that's not so bad. Maybe tomorrow I'll hear 5. So in that process, though, the yeses will come. Your confidence will grow from that. You'll actually learn some other things as well. Maybe you'll learn where your gaps are. Maybe you'll learn how to approach people in a slightly different way. All because you just weren't so focused on, I've got to talk to this one person and get this one yes, and you're coming at it from a desperate mindset. Really, you're coming at it from a, I'm going to share the story of this great product, and just go for no. And what happens again is confidence goes up, your stress level goes down because of your confidence, and you start having more fun. You don't take things quite so seriously, and people are attracted to people who are having fun. There's no doubt about that.
I love the idea of making a game out of it, because games are fun.
Exactly.
Tell me about your 5 levels of failure.
Right, 5 levels of failure. So the first one is level 1, the ability to fail. And by the way, we use the word failure and hearing no interchangeably, because when people, you know, most people don't want to get a no because they think that that's a failure, right? They think that they have failed. So we talk about the 5 levels of failure in relationship to this whole idea of go for no. So everybody starts at level 1, which is the ability. We're all there. Level 2 is interesting. Level 2 is the willingness to fail. And that's really kind of that next thing where you may hear you know, this show and you may think, wow, that's interesting. I think I could do that. I'll be willing to try this out. The 3rd level is where things get really interesting, and that is the wantingness to fail. That's where you go to bed at night and you say, you know what, I didn't get 1 no today. I didn't tell the story of our product to anybody today. I never failed 1 time. And you say, that was not a good day. So that's the wantingness. It gets very interesting when you want to fail. It changes it around. Again, it makes it kind of fun. It really makes it interesting. Level 4 is about failing bigger and failing faster. So going out there and getting as many no's as you can once you work up to that comfort level. And getting big no's, you know, talking to people that maybe you wouldn't have, you know, felt comfortable talking to. So getting outside your comfort zone. And level 5 is failing exponentially. And that's where all of you as a team can fail together, get no's together, make it fun, celebrate them. And that's where, you know, everybody's failing together as a team. It's a fun way to do it, and you can create some excitement around it. And again, it's not about fighting through those no's. It's about accepting them, receiving them, and empowering yourself to move forward rather than looking at them so negatively.
Andrea, I so agree with you as to getting out of your comfort zone, because that's when I personally experience the most growth. It's the hardest thing to do, and we don't want to do it typically, but it is always, it turns out being the greatest gift and the best lessons when we do get out of those comfort zones. So what's the most important why?
The most important why. So the idea really behind that is, you know, what's your mission? Because that really is what I think Go for No comes down to is, you've got to have that mission, that servant kind of mindset in the back of your mind, right? We always say Go for No is not about manipulating people. It's not about badgering somebody into, you know, making a choice or a decision that isn't in their best interest or isn't something they might not want or need down the road. So it's about remembering what that why is and what mission you're on, so that you come at the process not of, wow, I'm just selling people. You come at your mission as, I'm educating people, and in order to do so, I have to go for no. So it's really about looking at sales and serving others as really they're the same, as opposed to some people will look at, well, I have to sell or I can provide great service to people as maybe opposite sides. They're really one and the same. It's important to keep that mindset as well.
That's amazing. It sounds like that, too, you deal with a lot of people that really do believe in their products and they have great things to put out there. They just need the courage to go out there and do it. Go for no totally makes sense to me. I love it because, again, I believe the more no's you get, the more yeses you get, just inherently. So do you find that people are actually finding the courage within themselves to actually to use your formula and really go for it and make changes that can actually produce those sales or whatever goals they have in life that they want to succeed at?
Absolutely. I can't tell you the great stories and results that I hear, and really what happens is that people just need to give themselves a chance, and they need to do a couple things in this process. One, they need to create a no awareness. Look at how many no's are they hearing, and for most of us, because we get taught and trained to live in a go for yes world, we don't hear many no's. So you've got to start creating that no awareness and saying, wow, I need to hear more no's. And then the second piece is so important. You have to give up that whole idea of being a perfectionist. Oh, I'm not going to do this until I'm perfect at it, and I've got the presentation down, and I know every feature and benefit. That's something that'll stall you forever. So it's getting rid of that perfectionism and then giving yourself permission to fail. Get out there, take some chances, have some fun. Don't make it so serious and so pressure-filled because then you're not going to get anywhere. So I think I've seen so many people just tap into that at all kinds of levels, and they get amazing results, not just business results, which they do, but it's really life-changing as well.
I love this because I'm a Virgo, so I'm a total perfectionist, and I want everything to be in line. I want to know that I'm going to do the perfect job before I ever step onto the court. So it's great. You're right. Absolutely. So I'm going to have to make a goal of maybe hearing one or two notes. I've got to start small because I know it's going to be scary. So I'm going to have to make a small goal and see how that feels. But how do I deal with that increased rejection that I'm going to face since I'm going to be getting more no's?
Right. Well, I love what you said, and you're so right. There's nothing wrong with starting small either. You know, I have people tell me all the time, well, now that I've heard you, I'm going to get 100 no's. Well, you don't have to do that to be effective or successful. You know, a lot of people can be very successful with actually getting a small number of no's, especially when they go from having no no's to having a few no's. So I like what you said. You don't have to make yourself crazy. You don't have to start off with a huge number. When you do set something reasonable and you achieve it and you keep your word to yourself, I think that's very empowering. That goes a long way in reducing that fear. When you tell yourself you're going to do it, it is small enough in that chunk. You get that one no, and you say, I did it. I trust myself now. I have a little more confidence. I didn't die. It wasn't a disaster. It wasn't perfect. Maybe next time I'll do this differently. So you'll learn a little bit, and I promise you that fear will go down. Now, what tends to happen sometimes is that you'll maybe start going for bigger no's. Maybe you'll increase the number. Maybe you'll go back to the person that you had thought about approaching a couple weeks ago, and now they're that scary person that maybe you were avoiding. So you can start doing that and start challenging yourself. Again, just get outside your comfort zone a little bit. It's amazing when you give yourself permission to do that, what can happen.
I like this because sometimes even at I don't know, maybe a fast food place, I don't want to ask for no lettuce because I don't want to put people out of their way, but I like the practice of starting that because, I would like to get it without lettuce, but I'm scared to ask because I don't want that no, and I don't want to, on plane flights and stuff, I never want to imposition anybody. So that might be a good, easy way for me to start. You talk about setting no goals. How do we do that? How do you set no goals?
Yes, I will share that with you. And by the way, you're exactly right. And as a pathological people pleaser myself, I don't want to put anybody out of their way either. So it's a great way to test. You can test all different ways. But yeah, so the no goals idea. We all set yes goals of the sales or dollars that we want to bring in. Those are the yeses. So with the no goal process, it's setting a goal for the number of no's you want to hear in a given day or week. Again, we don't dictate for you what that is. It kind of depends on where you are now, but you can set a goal for, say, 5 no's for the week. So what tends to happen when we set yes goals is maybe we want to make 1 or 2 sales. So we make those sales, and then for the rest of the week, we just take off, right? It was not like, we try to get more because we hit the quota that we had mentally set for ourselves. We hit that yes goal. So by setting no goals, it actually forces us to be more productive. So in that process of getting those 5 no's, you'll get the 2 sales you were going to get anyway, and then who knows what else will happen. Maybe you'll collect a few more no's, or maybe you'll collect a few more yeses, but it really forces you into more activity, and it kind of helps you with that wantingness. That the setting of no goals and that wanting to fail really go hand in hand, because you can set those goals, go for them, knowing and wanting to hit those goals.
I like it. I like it. I'm a goals-oriented, excuse me, person anyway, so I like having things to achieve because, again, it forces me to grow. If I make myself do things that are particularly out of my comfort zone, it really forces me to grow. So I'm going to set my goal of no's today to 2 because that's enough for baby steps. So two no's today. I'm going to work on getting those after this call. Okay. You've got some great statistics about no's. Can you share some information about that with our viewers?
Yes. Well, I think it's important too, and this varies depending on business or industry. But one of the things we always say is 44% of all customers usually say no at least one time before they actually say yes. And actually 22% more customers will say no at least 2 times. And what we have found is that actually salespeople who give up before getting usually, and again, it depends on the business or industry, but oftentimes 4 to 5 contacts is what it takes to finally have that customer say yes. And so that 4 or 5 contacts, and yet most salespeople give up after that first or second no. And so those statistics are kind of shocking, because if people would stay in the game, meaning if they would reapproach, get creative, share another benefit of the product, try that person again the following week, a lot of times the person is ready to make a decision, they're ready to say yes. It's just that salesperson got that one no, and they just let it go and they give up. So it's really important to be what I call positively persistent. Again, it's not, you don't have to badger people, you don't have to make them crazy, you don't have to go into long, sales pitches and perfect presentations, but you do want to check in with someone periodically, and especially early on, at least 2 or 3 times, just to see if anything's changed, if they've had a chance to think about it, so that you can turn a lot of those early no's into quick yeses.
44% of no's turn into yeses. That's tremendous. And then you have to additionally contact them 4 or 5 times, so that's a lot of repeat exposure. So a lot of the no's you can turn to yeses. That's great information to know. So no doesn't really mean no always.
No, in fact, we always say no doesn't mean never. No means not yet. For a lot of people, right? It's just that a lot of people aren't ready, and they have an aversion to change. They have an aversion to something maybe new that they haven't heard of. They need to be exposed to it a couple times, and they need to understand that there's a reason why you're contacting them if you believe this is in their best interest, which obviously you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be contacting them.
All right. So what if my fear of getting 2 no's today is really overwhelming? Are there some tips or tricks or something a tool bag you can give me to help me overcome those so I can face those no's today?
Yeah, I think in essence, all of our concepts kind of go into a package, I think, that can reduce fear. I mean, ultimately, giving yourself permission to fail. One of the things we talk about in our book is really understanding the failure-success model, which is real simple. It's failure and success are on either side of you, and you always feel like you have to make a choice. When you reprogram how you think about failure and success, and you understand that failure and hearing no are always part of the package, always part of the process, hopefully that can start to alleviate some of those fears. I think when you adopt the go for no mindset too, and you start to understand that you're okay with no, that no is a perfectly acceptable answer, because really where the fear is coming from is that fear of failure and that fear that the person's going to say no. Well, we've now given you permission to fail. We've given you permission to collect no's. So hopefully most of that fear is alleviated. And then the other piece goes back to the why that we talked about. If you're afraid that maybe the person's going to be, like you said, I'm going to put them out, I'm going to inconvenience them, maybe they'll even get upset at me. You really have to go back to your mission and remember what you're doing and why you're doing that. That's so key.
Okay, so tell me, because I'm a person who's super positive. Like I like to keep my thought pattern very clean. I don't like to use the words don'ts or no's. So how do I with that line of thinking incorporate this idea of now I want some no's because I want to get more yeses, so I know I got to get more no's. So how do I deal with my thinking positive strategy along with this no concept?
Right. Well, I like to think that Go for No is very positive and very empowering, and we like to say that it deals with the elephant in the room. Now, you know, I'm positive from a positive thinking standpoint that you're going to hear no. So I think that's the thing that we deal with, right? Is the reality of the situation that rejection is out there. You could have the best perfect presentation and product, and it could just, you know, you end up with the wrong person at the wrong moment, they're going to just say no to you. So the no's are always out there. The key is when you reprogram how you think about it, you accept those no's as a perfectly acceptable answer. You know what you're going to do after you get that no. It's a very empowering feeling as opposed to feeling like you're a victim of this no, or what we normally do in a Go for Yes world, we interpret that no as I'm bad, I'm not going to be successful. Maybe some of us even, I think, look for our validation through the yeses, right? So, yeah, it's so part of, I think, dealing with that, you take it personally. So part of that positiveness and that positive thinking, it is so important. But it's all about turning it into an empowering thing for you so that you're not the, and I use the term loosely here, the victim of rejection, as opposed to I'm going to get rejection, but I'm going to deal with it in the best way I can so that my day isn't a bunch of up and down on the emotional roller coaster where I'm yes and no and up and down and I'm happy and I'm disappointed and frustrated. It's you're on a more emotionally even keel all the time because you got a selection of yeses and a selection of nos, and they're all valuable.
So we know these patterns have been ingrained probably since in utero. So how do we change these patterns that have been used through a lifetime? How do we really change our mindset so that we can incorporate this new Go for No and it be a positive in our life, again, and get away from our old belief system that no is bad?
Yeah, it's easy to do that. It's easy to fall into our old patterns. And I was talking to somebody yesterday who said, you know, they need to make no a habit. So you have to, you know, set those no goals, remind yourself of everything that we've talked about, and then, you know, celebrate your activity, celebrate your no's. I think that's so important. You know, we reward ourselves for the yeses pretty well, most of us. We never celebrate when we get a no. We never celebrate the attempt, whether it's successful or not successful. Celebrating those no's is so important, and we always joke that to our audiences that if you get, you know, set a no goal for 10 no's and you get the 10, that's when you should go out and get yourself an ice cream cone or your favorite, you know, massage, or do whatever your favorite thing is, because you really should celebrate the activity. That will pay off. That invested time will turn into profitable time.
I love that, celebrating, because again, it is an accomplishment to get those no's, because again, you're putting yourself outside your comfort zone. So I like the idea of celebrating that as an actual accomplishment. That's great. I'm going to try that with my two no's today.
Okay.
So how can we learn more about you, about your book? And because I know you're involved with a lot, and so you have some great information, so I know our viewers are going to want to find out more.
Yeah, we have great information at goforno.com, which is just as you would imagine, GOFORNO.com. We've got a fun no quotient assessment that people can take for free. So they can go on there, and our Facebook page, which is Go for No as well. We do daily motivation, so people just need reminders if they want tips on, you know, how to keep this mindset going, emotional tips and tactics and strategies. Definitely Facebook has a lot of great free info as well. And the book is available from our website or on Amazon.
Thank you so much, Andrea. It has been a pleasure, and I can't wait to go work on getting my 2 no's.
Thank you so much. A lot of fun. Loved it.
Bye-bye.